Hey, real quick introduction. I want to let you guys know I am Ridingfish. I do motorcycle content 99% of the time. 1% of the time, I do whatever the hell I think is cool. A little bit of backstory. I own a 2020 Indian Challenger with about 30,000 miles. I've been all over the country twice on it. I've changed the seats a handful of times. I know a lot about this motor, this platform, and I'm going to roll my intro and then we're going to talk a little bit about why I think my opinion of the Pursuit is probably a pretty good one. All right, so check it out, let me tell you. So with my 30,000 miles on the Challenger, the Indian Pursuit, I had the great opportunity to fly to Temecula, California for Indian Motorcycle, where it was like a press event. I got to check out the bike, and we rode it for like 150 miles or something that day. Well, I then made a comment to one of the Indian people, and I said, hey, what do you think about me just riding this bad boy home? So San Diego, Temecula, California to Minnesota. I said I want to have an extensive, review. I want to be able to tell everybody about it. So I rode it home. I did between the time I left Temecula, I kind of played around the San Diego SoCal region for a couple of days. And then in 42 hours, I rode from El Centro, California to Minnesota. It was about 1,900 miles. I did it in 42 hours. So that is how I got so many miles on the new Indian Pursuit. And I'm coming to you guys with some goods, some bads, uglies, and just to throw it a little bit more in there, there's a few differences between the Pursuit and the Indian Challenger that I don't think not a lot of people realize is there. So I wanted to bring that up. And yeah, so let's get right into all right, so because this road is so busy, I'm gonna get right into my studio and we're gonna start talking about the ergonomics of this bike. We're gonna talk about the motor of this bike. We're gonna talk about, and by this bike, I mean the Indian Pursuit. Obviously, we know that this is a performance bagger, the best performance bagger being made stock by any company, and I stand by that. So, all right, guys, let's go to the studio. Alrighty, so I'm in the studio, guys, and let's go over, you know what, I thought I would start with the performance. Performance of this Power Plus 108 motor. I know it quite well. I know it good enough that I took my Challenger to a Harley Davidson little dyno shootout one time. I got the trophy because I got first place from the 106 to a 114 cubic inch. That day, I'm just going to tell you guys that day. I got the dyno graph here. That day I won it. I had 116 horsepower, 125 feet-pounds of torque. Indian claims 122 horsepower and 128 feet-pounds of torque, and that's at the crank. So I have a stage 1 on my Challenger, a 2-to-1 exhaust, and it's been tuned, and that has the air intake. So when we're going to talk about performance, that can be pretty easily obtained. The setup I have is nothing crazy, but man, it's the most powerful bike without going to big bore kits and all the fun stuff. And that is fun. That stuff's coming for the Power Plus. But for the Pursuit, there's no stock motors that are coming out with more power. So 2-up riding. I have about 250 miles out of road 2-up on the Pursuit. The bike handles amazing. I'm going to get into other parts of 2-up riding here in just a second, but we're just talking about power, the performance of this motor. It never lugs. It's always ready. Yeah, I mean, I got to give this power right out of the box like that a 10 out of 10. Should we continue this 2-up riding? Let's talk about suspension just a little bit. when I was in when I was in Southern California, there was a road I rode on, and I want to show you the front suspension before we talk about the monoshock rear. Let me show you the front suspension on a road in Southern California. This is Imperial, California, farmland, but yeah, check this out. You're gonna think this is pretty cool.
Recording.
I wanted to talk about the suspension. So this road is freaking horrible. And as you can hear in my voice, I'm not like super shuddery. You can see it a little bit in the bars, but really the bike is handling really well. As you can see there on the left, I actually set this road so bad I set the camera up so we can get a good look at what the freaking front suspension is doing to be able to hold this bike so steady while going down like, I mean, it's the worst road in America. I don't know. It's horrible. It's always been horrible my whole entire life, and it's not getting any better. And it's just like constant, like, but yeah, the suspension on this motorcycle, I have the rear suspension set for myself. The front suspension is just taking it. I mean, like I said, you can see it in the handlebars. You can see it getting into the windshield just a little, but really my body, my butt, my feet doesn't feel it at all. My hands can feel it in the bars, but yeah. So front suspension review, check.
So if that doesn't show you how good the front suspension works, I mean, I don't know what else to show you guys. Inverted front forks. It handles so amazing. It's the same technology that's on the Challenger. You guys, this bike suspension is like no other one. You have to get into sport bikes before you start seeing this kind of good suspension. Let's go ahead and talk about the rear suspension. When I got this bike, I did set it up for myself, and this was in the Temecula, California region, the Pursuit. So with the trunk, this one I had was a premium. So I did have to set it, which is important, because if you don't set these and you have them under preload, the front end gets a little bit light, you know, if it's not expecting there to be any weight. and in that case, which I did have one time, just for the fun of it, to see how it handled, I really underset the preload in the rear. There's a reason why, you know, you need to set those. But when it's set and it's you know what? Let me just show you this video real quick of how to set it, how easy it is. Here it is. So a couple of things. One is, oh, it's not warmed up. Okay, so I would like to go to settings, vehicle, rear cylinder deactivation, off. I don't like that. So that's off. Preload. Rider's 180, you guys, that's not true. So let's go to edit weights. And I am about 225. So I would say the trunk, I don't think it's 50 pounds. Let's just say it's probably about 30. It's not too heavy. I do have a trunk on with like maybe 10 pounds. So there it is, a 225, 10-pound trunk 20, and then the fine tune, I can do that at any time. So let's get out of there, and then I'll show you. So you hit the settings button when it decides. There you go, you hit the settings button, and I can tell it, I have a passenger, no passenger. I have, the first one is the saddlebags, and the second one is the trunk. So I'm setting all that. Here it is. So you guys, that was so easy, right? I mean, you literally just tell it what you weigh, you get after it. All by myself, it rode amazing. I literally cannot complain. The suspension is incredible right out of the box. Nobody's talking about upgrading this suspension. The Indian Pursuit, the Indian Challenger, the monoshock that it has, it's a hydraulic, and then the premium version does have an electronic adjustable, which is what you guys just seen. You guys, the suspension is great. 2-up riding, I did 250 miles, and we did curvy, up and down, like a little bit of a hill. Let's call it like a hill compared to mountains. We did some windies, we did some twisties. some good stuff. Really, it was. The suspension is great. This 2022 Pursuits, just like the Challengers, come with Brembo brakes, dual caliper in the front, single in the rear. You guys, let's talk about brakes. This is all performance, right? If you're gonna go when you want to go, and you're gonna twist the way you want to twist, and you're gonna curve and rip these corners like you want, this is not a sport bike, guys, but this is a performance tour bike. I firmly believe it. We need to stop. And was it steel braided brake lines, Brembo brakes? I mean, the Indian Motorcycle went all out on this Pursuit. The brakes, I do have only one thing I don't like about the brakes on the Indian Pursuit, and I'm going to say this, and I think maybe I'll just talk about it here. It has a foot pedal for the rear brake, not a foot peg. I'm very used to the foot peg. The Challenger has the foot peg. The pedal is quite a bit bigger. I lose foot room, nowhere to put my toes per se underneath it. I rode with riding boots, so I think, at about 3,000 miles with the foot pedal, I would probably switch that to the foot peg. I think it works really well in small times when you really want to press it. Some people talked a lot about foot pedals when the Challenger came out. I never experienced that. This was the first time. So I think it was like 2,900 and some miles I actually have on the Pursuit itself. I know I'm calling it a 3,000, guys, but it was just for, fun conversation. But it was just shy. It was 2,900 and change. I personally prefer a foot peg over the pedal, unless you got highway pegs, which I'm going to talk about ergonomics, I think, here in a little bit. I'm going to talk about that. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the foot pedal. But let's talk about ergonomics here in a couple minutes. Just to review the performance side of the Challenger, the motor, fully liquid cooled 108 cubic inch, producing the 122 horsepower and 128 feet-pounds of torque. Like I said, it's a little less than that at the wheel with my stage 1, but it's still more powerful than anything else you can find stock. The Goldwing's up there in that range, but that's not a V-twin, so I'm just gonna knock that off. I'm just saying, let's just call Harley out. Yeah, it's better motor than any of the Harleys that they offer stock. Just throwing that out there. CVO, nah, he ain't got nothing on this. All right. I think I should talk a little bit right now. This might be a good moment. Some of the things I don't like about the Indian Pursuit. A couple things, actually. One is, like I just said, I don't really love the foot pedal. I think I like the foot peg. You lose a little bit of the floorboard. I think I might be able to get around that if I had highway pegs. Again, here's another thing. With those hard lowers, with those hard lowers, you lose a little bit of that reach that the Challenger has. I can't really just put my feet out and my heels on the floorboard per se. So being 5'11", 5'10", I really felt the need for highway pegs, and I'm going to extend that just a little bit more. The ergonomics, the seating of this has it pushed forward just a little bit more than the Challenger. Now, on the Challenger, I had many seats. Right now, I have the heated cooled seat. My favorite seat has been the extended reach seat, which is probably what I'm going to go back to long term on this bike. There's another seat actually out there that I would like to try. But for this conversation, I felt like this tour seat that's on the Indian Pursuit pushed me a little bit closer to the bars, the fairing, my legs, everything got pushed just a little bit extra. And I'll tell you why. And the reason is because the passenger then takes that. So the passenger has the nice trunk, can lean back, has a little bit more room in front of them between the passenger's rear end and the back of the rider, controlling it. So the passenger has that extra room. I personally don't like that. I like the stretched out feel. I liked the victory feel. So if I had a Pursuit, I would have to have highway pegs. And it's kind of funny because on my Challenger, I really only use my highway pegs for those moments when I just need to like switch it around. Let's continue to talk about this seat. Now, as you guys saw, I did 1,900 miles in 42 hours, and that was counting sleep. So I ripped off 2 Saddle Sore 1000s. I did 1,500 miles in 36 hours. To say my ass was sore is besides the point. It was sore. I got home on a Monday night. Well, Friday morning. So I had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to recover. Friday morning is when I went on the 2-up ride for 250 miles. And I'll say that the wife on the back, she found that the seat wasn't broken in yet, which probably is true. Being a media bike, they probably had 0 miles on the back. And I was a little bit uncomfortable, but I didn't feel uncomfortable my first 250 miles. I'm wondering if I was just still burnt out. Like, I wonder if I was just sore, to be honest with you guys. All the other times I rode this bike, I didn't really feel that. So I want to say that the seat might have been just a little bit firm for me. Now, I'm going to full disclosure. I ride a lot, but I always think that the seats are a little bit, they get sore. But I'm a gas tank to gas tank guy, fill up to fill up. I mean, my extended reach stock seat for the Challenger has probably been the best one that I've had. But in Minnesota, I like heat. So I put the heated cooled seat on. So here in Minnesota, I can take advantage of that. I will say all of the Indian Pursuits come with heated grips regardless. And that's a must, especially in the Midwest, crisp mornings. I mean, late, like falls. I mean, I really enjoy heated grips quite a bit. I enjoy heated seats too. That extended reach seat has been my best. Again, I like the stretched out feel. I kind of lost a little bit of that on the Indian Pursuit. So that's probably my biggest difference between the Pursuit and the Challenger was the foot pedal for the rear brake, as well as the seated position being a little bit closer. That's it. Realistically, it probably sits back a little bit more than most Harley Davidsons and their setups. Because I know when I sit on Harleys, I feel quite close. So if you're the 5'10 mark, if you're shorter than that, the Pursuit will probably not really feel like a huge reach. If you're taller than that, you for sure want some highway pegs. If you're in the 6 foot plus, you're going to want some highway pegs for the Indian Pursuit. I almost guarantee that. I do want to remind everybody that the premium version is what I rode. It did come with the heated seat. The standard version does not come with the heated seat on the Indian Pursuit. So, and the heated seat has like the diamond stitching. It's very beautiful. It matches the passenger backrest on the trunk, as well as the standard matches the passenger backrest on the trunk too, but just not the diamond stitching and stuff like that. All right, talking about the trunk just a little bit, let's discuss that. I actually found it very useful. I kind of knew I would, not having a trunk on the Challenger. And having that extra luggage capacity. I mean, I had backpacks, duffel bags, tour bags. I had my laptop. I had gloves. I had all kinds of stuff. I was able to secure it all in there, not just the trunk, but in all the hard cases. A couple things about the trunk is kind of interesting. When you open it, it does have a light that lights up the trunk inside, which is pretty cool. It does have the 12 volt plug-in, like the cigarette lighter plug-in, that so you could power things and charge phones and drones and whatever else. So I thought that was pretty cool. I do kind of wish they'd put lights inside the saddlebags. That'd be pretty awesome. They don't have that on any Challenger, Pursuit, Chieftain, Roadmaster. I don't think any of them have that, but I do think that would be kind of cool because it's often that I can't find anything in a saddlebag. So easy. You guys, I can't even carry that much shit onto the airplane. I got bags for days, mofos. Like, now, talking about lights, I do want to discuss this. So this being the premium version, I had fog lights in the bottom. They worked really well. They lit up everything in front of the bike on the low side. So you know when you're normally riding and you have that dark spot from where the headlight kind of starts to all the way back to where your front tire is, these completely fill that in, and they do go out quite a ways pretty well. So I thought that was good. But I'll tell you another thing. On my Challenger, I have the Indian adaptive headlight, and now that I have that headlight, I think it should be on every bike. So I personally, oh wow, what the heck is happening with my hat? My headlights. I'm losing it, people. But all right, the adaptive headlight, I really like it. I love that. It's one of the greatest, best values that I personally have found for the Challenger. I have enjoyed that a lot. It does work a lot better. So if I had the Pursuit, I would probably be putting an adaptive headlight on there, or maybe an upgraded headlight of some kind. I just use the adaptive because that's the one I have my knowledge with, and I do know that works really well. On my Victory, I did have a JW Speaker adaptive headlight. That one also worked really well. So that gives you like another opportunity. You could check them out as well. But the Indian one is the one that I use on the Challenger. I really like it. It works marvelous. You want to know what else works marvelous? Is the windshield. The electronic adjustable windshield works so well. Not a lot of companies have that. Harley Davidson. But I want to say it works so well, there's no need for this giant windshield on there. So if you're the kind of guy that likes to look through a windshield, a tall windshield's good for you. Like, I get it. I'm not that guy. And I will say that I would prefer a flip shield, maybe a little smaller for just looks purposes, and with a flare or a flip. The reason why is when you raise it up, it shoots it over your head, and then you're still looking over it. But without But without a flip, where that is going to just come right into the eye. So you end up going higher than your eyes. Anyway, wow, my camera's freaking out. So I personally would probably get rid of that super tall tour windshield, drop it to a lower windshield with a flip on there. Yeah, I mean, I like the look of that. I like the sleekness of that. I don't really love that tall windshield. All right, and talking about wind protection just a little bit more, the hard lowers work really, really well. I didn't get any weird turbulent air. It does its job. There's vents to open inside the fairing. There's vents to open inside the hard lowers. But here's the deal, and I'm being real serious. If you start to get a little bit of heat in your legs or whatever, you need to open the vents. And the reason why I'm saying that, it sounds very obvious, but don't open them all the way. And the reason, and I learned this really, is that if you open them all the way, you end up getting turbulent air kind of by your legs. Your legs create turbulent air. You get these pockets and you don't really sweep the hot air out. just open the vents like a little, like 10%. And that way the air can come in, swoop along the motors, pass your legs, and then kick out. You'll be cooler that way than just opening them all the way. Now, there was times I opened them all the way for airflow, but not exactly for like heat reduction. And then that was fine. Like I got plenty of air, but it just kind of turbulent, if that makes sense. So that's my cheat code on the hard lowers. They work really well, but I just wanted to get that out there. All right, so my final thoughts, and I think this is going to be an interesting thing. I'm going to save the real interesting thing for last. I'm going to start off with two things. One is I had the stock mirrors on this Pursuit. They look so good. I don't know what kind of mirror that they use, or glass or whatever that they use inside of them. Maybe it's just because they're so big. It was like I could see clear. Now, do I love the look? Not so much. I will probably keep. I took the stock ones off, right, of my Challenger because there's a looks thing. But holy crap, looking in these giant things, I could see behind me really well. That's just the truth. Would I change that? Probably. I know Indian has some aftermarket ones. Rosomas are very good. I got to see those for the first time in person. They're expensive. Those are Rosoma Indian collaboration mirrors. They are expensive, but let me tell you, I have never seen mirrors that nice. And these, yeah, you might see those on my bike. I'm just saying, you might see those on my bike. But those Rosoma mirrors are really nice. The radio. So the stock radio, at all speeds, I could hear it. In all conditions. Now, I say that, but I have the power band upgraded one in the Indian Challenger, and I will say that I can hear it better. My camera's picked up the radio just fine on the Pursuit, so if you're a little hard of hearing or whatever, maybe you would want to upgrade it. If you're not, I'm told I'm hard of hearing. I always pass on my tests, but maybe that's selective hearing. But yeah, it's okay. You can hear it, you can get it, you can make out the words to whatever song you're listening to or whatever it is going down the road. The radio seemed just fine, you guys. It was a step underneath my power band audio that I have in the Challenger, so that's something to think about. Also, I have saddlebag speakers in the Challenger, but I really don't think they do anything. That's something I've often said that I didn't really want to spend my money on. I do think on the Indian Pursuit, they do have the hard lowers. This one had nothing. It was just standard hard lowers, but you can put a cubby, like a glove box. You can also put speakers there. Now, if you wanted to upgrade your audio, that would be a really good place, I think, to add power band speakers, because then it's more audio coming towards you, if that makes sense. So instead of saddlebag speakers, that's probably where I would recommend the audio coming from, is the hard lowers. Something to think about. I mean, you could do it all. I mean, you could do saddlebags, and you can upgrade the trunk, which they have speakers stock. You can upgrade the fairing, so you could upgrade everything. But if you were just looking for that, like just a couple of extra speakers, I would probably put them in the hard lowers before I put them in the saddlebag lids. The other reason is you don't really lose like a lot. It's only a couple of inches, but I mean that's a couple t-shirts or whatever. So I have often thought to myself that probably just leaving the saddlebags how they are and changing the audio in front of me is the better bang for your dollar. But some people like to have it really loud in parking lots and stuff. So in that case, you better be changing everything. All right. And one more thing. This is kind of an interesting one, and I'll just going to be completely honest with you. So I didn't ride my Challenger for a couple of weeks, maybe like 10 days. And when I came back, I parked the Pursuit and I kept taking the Pursuit. And I did that for science, right? I did that to be able to tell you guys about the seat and tell you guys about the brake pedal and tell you guys about the windshield and tell you guys about why I need highway pegs. And for science, I kept doing that. I had to give back the Pursuit. Indian obviously doesn't let me keep anything forever. And so after I gave back the Pursuit, I did jump on the Challenger like the very next day. And I rode the Challenger. And I will say that this is probably my biggest surprise, that my 2020 Challenger with about 30,000 miles, it didn't feel as finished as what the 2022 Indian Pursuit felt like. Shifting seemed smoother, like the bike just kind of feels a little bit rougher. So that brings me to fit and finish. I'm still having, even the Pursuit, something was weird with the saddlebag lids. I don't know why. My Challenger's kind of like that too. It's just, you just got to like learn your system, right? Like you close it, you know how to do it, it's fine. But at that first learning, that first couple times you close it, you're kind of like, really? I don't know. So I think that still was the same with the Pursuit. Other than that, the paint, these schemes, guys, oh my God. These Pursuit paints, they look so good. I mean, I've seen everything from black glossy, black smoked, red, blues, limiteds, dark horses, silvers. I've seen so many of these paints. They all look, I mean, that's been my biggest complaint. If you're new to my channel, one of the biggest complaint that I've had with Indian motorcycle and these Challengers and this model of the motorcycle, not exactly was the quality of paint. That's not what I'm saying here, but the schemes. Like it got old, like just white or just blue or just black. The fact that they're doing schemes now with blacks or reds with black in it and like these silvers and blues with there's black, and it just, they look so good. So I gotta say, I think the overall fit and finish for the 2022 Pursuit and probably Challenger as well, it's a notch up better than my 2020 Indian Challenger. I believe Indian's been listening. They upped that. There's a few things. I mean, I messed with a couple of things. So the gauge cluster, I kind of moved that around on the Pursuit. It seems solid. The both of the like glove boxes that come in the fairing, they seemed really well. Everything just seemed, dude, it's third generation. Let's just be honest. Third generation of the Challenger and now Pursuit platform. I think it's better than the first. I mean, really. And I saw differences from the first to the second with the painted inner fairings and a couple like where the power button and where the auxiliary plug-in and stuff is from the 20s to the 21s. I'm talking Challenger now, but you guys, I might talk Challenger and reference, in this case, Pursuit, because they learned a lot from that 2020 and the 21s. And now 22, I think they're up in their game. So fit and finish. Is it perfect? I would say no. And I think as soon as they fix these damn saddlebags, I don't know what it is. Maybe I just had an unlucky one and it just happens to be unlucky like mine. Which, by the way, I have 30,000 miles. I've never like messed up anything. It's just doesn't like, it just was weird. It was just a little loose or something. Maybe something could have been tightened. The trunk was really good. Everything else about this Pursuit was really good fit and finish wise. My favorite thing is the color schemes that they're coming out with. Challenger and Pursuit, they all looked really good. The quality of paint looks very good. It's not just boring. It's amazing. Everything looks finished. So guys, just to finish this up, this video is getting long. You're probably not even listening at this point anyway. Leave a comment if anything you agree with or don't agree with me. Have you been able to ride an Indian Pursuit 2022s? These bikes, to me, it's a performance tour bike. I guess I should say this. Hey, the trunks are removable, so you could easily buy this bike, have a performance bagger, rip around town all you want, whatever. And the moment you're ready to go for a ride, throw that trunk on, boom, sucker. performance tour bike. I believe it's probably the best performance tour bike that's being out there, especially V-twin. I mean, we want to start talking about some other things. Fine, we'll talk about that. But V-twin, yeah. Indian motorcycle for the win. Again, I'm happy to say that. I believe that. So, would I buy an Indian Pursuit if I wanted to do touring? Yes, I for sure would. If I wanted a versatile bike where I'll mostly be being a power performance bagger, I'll take that trunk off. Yeah, I think the Pursuit's a buy. I love the suspension, especially the premium. It all works really well. Alrighty, guys. So here is the deal. I want to thank you guys for watching. I am going to be working on another video of what it was actually like jumping on this bike and riding a brand new 2022 Indian Pursuit, across the country in 42 hours. My footage is a little dicey at the end because I was tired, but I think the front of the footage was interesting and fun, and where I was going was pretty cool. So that's going to be a video coming up, which you'll also be getting some of my thoughts and stuff about the bike and the ride and stuff like that on that video. But this video right here, the 2022 3,000 miles, quite a little bit less, but whatever, Pursuit review. I really like the bike. A couple things only. There are a handful of things that I would change personally. That starts being very individual perspectives. So I want to thank you guys in all honesty. Thank you guys for watching and supporting me in the channel. And if you're new, please subscribe. All the good stuff. And I'm going to end this like I always do. Ride hard. Ride fast. Say hi to somebody you don't know. Peace. Ha 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 ha!